Hello, my name is Cindy Bennett and welcome to this video. Thank you so much for coming. Don't forget to leave a comment below this video. Let me know how you liked it and please consider subscribing to my channel. I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Hello, Gerri. Hello. Looks like we have a few. We got Kelly Tag is here saying hello, and Rebecca.
Hello.
Rebecca, who's due with a new baby any day, basically.
Any second.
Excellent. Well, my name is Cindy. Thank you for coming to this channel, and I'm talking to Gerri today. She's a teacher friend of mine from basically, I don't know, YouTube.
All the places.
Yeah, lots of places. I think I met you.
Kid.
Yeah, I think I met you through Casey, that you had been on her show a few times, and we've worked together on some collaborations and stuff. So
and I knew you too from VIP Kid from your iPad users group.
Oh, okay.
That's how I knew you before you knew me.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because I was an iPad user. Well, I was a part-time iPad user.
Okay. Yeah, it was a great backup. Yeah, that was the greatest thing about it. It was I ended up using it for my first 1,000 classes because I didn't realize my computer was like very old. So then I got so used to it that I thought, and I realized a lot of people actually like to teach with that,
right?
Even better than the computer. But I think now, if you're virtual teaching, especially with Outschool and you're diversifying, you kind of need the extra bells and whistles on a regular computer. So what do you have now? Do you have
so with VIP Kid, I use it as a backup, but I would definitely make sure to use it once or twice a week, just in general, to make sure that I knew what was going on and I knew how to do it. So, and also it got me standing. I had a little setup on a standing thing. I use a MacBook Pro. I actually got it in 2020.
So did I.
Yeah, I got it in 2020. It's technically, I think it was manufactured in 2019.
Yep, mine too.
That makes me feel a tiny bit better.
Yep. I was a little nervous. I saw reviews for the newer one, and I'm like, I don't want to get one that has a problem with it. So I went ahead with the 2019. So
yeah, I had been sort of saving, and then we had a little bit of tax return, and I thought, you know what, I really need to upgrade. My computer was fine, but it was just fine. Like it wasn't. So I upgraded to that, and I got a Magic Mouse. I slowly upgraded more things.
I have one too. Wow,
I also got a new iPad too last year. So 1 year computer, and I do teach on Outschool. I'm really not teaching on VIP Kid anymore. I found it was getting really hard to book. I had some regulars that hung on, and so I joined Cambly so I could do some ESL and sort of expand my reach with people. And also I was super interested in teaching adults. I mean, as we know, Cambly has a pretty low pay rate.
Right.
But it can be a great backup. It can be great for last minute. It can be great for reaching adults if you want to try that, which I've enjoyed. But I do kids also.
Okay.
And I ended up learning a lot. I ended up learning a lot about different tools because sometimes you need to kind of augment your lessons and you need to bring in like a game for the kids or something else. And so it ended up forcing me to learn a lot of other like kind of online teaching skills. So I kind of think it's pretty valuable, actually.
Yeah.
And it's 24/7, and they've been in the market with that for a lot longer than people in VIP Kid. So
So how do you teach for Cambly now?
I do. I teach, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I teach a handful of mornings a week on Cambly, but my schedule has been more erratic lately, and that's not great for getting those regulars. But I do have a handful of regulars. Some of them have left me, but it's because other opportunities have come up that I want to keep diversifying to make sure, what's going to fit for me, what's going to
Right.
be the best thing for me. My Outschool, I've been with Outschool for 2 years, and I've kept my contract with VIP Kid. Now I'm like over 5 years. I did my over 10,000 classes, so
Ooh, cool. Good for you.
I'm kind of like, well, it's fun to do something different. It was getting a little bit dry too, but I have it there if I want it.
Right.
So I've tried Outschool for the early morning to reach other continents, and sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. I've heard that they're really doing a bigger push this fall, or like maybe now, with Asia and Australia. So I don't know. I might try it again.
Well, I had an idea, just throwing this out because you do art,
Yeah.
but I had an idea to do like a craft and do it as an ESL class.
Right.
Like, so if say you did knitting, like for me, I do knitting and yarn crafts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of doing like a chat group because I don't want to do one-on-one and make $5 a half hour,
Right.
But if you can do a group and you can talk together, and like for you do art, you could offer art as an ESL class chat group type thing.
Yeah. And so,
because Asian kids love art.
Right. And so actually, I teach on Cambly some mornings. I have a couple of private students also, but I do novel studies with them. So it's mostly conversation, novel, and a little bit of writing. And then I'm on Outschool teaching art throughout the day, and we'll talk about that. But then I also recently joined Budbee. There's a few people who have recently this summer. So I also recently joined Budbee, which is a Korean platform.
Yeah. So, Kelly Tag was talking about that.
Yeah, I saw that. And I had heard a little bit about it from her, and also another friend that we mutually have, Meredith Armistead.
Oh, she's doing Budbee too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
So
okay.
They had both mentioned something to me. Meredith and I, when a lot of things were sort of falling apart or changing dramatically with VIP Kid and other Chinese-based countries, platforms rather, it just turned out that Meredith and I were following a similar path.
Oh, cool.
So we were following this path of a couple of different platforms, including Cambly, and then another tutoring one that actually has since gone away. It didn't end up surviving through the whole pandemic and all of the changes. But it was a great platform, but it really wasn't going to hold up. So we didn't end up being able to continue with them. But we had some similar ideas, although she doesn't teach art. We just so we kind of befriended each other through similar channels, like guiding each other and helping each other get through that. It's cool. So Budbee, I'm teaching art on Budbee, and they are, of course, they're English language learners.
Yeah, they must be growing.
The classes, although I don't think they're hiring right now because they're taking it kind of slow, and they're learning more about marketing and reaching out and really getting that going. But as Kelly was mentioning, they are a marketplace-based platform. So you're teaching a variety of things, setting your own pricing and what times you want to do that. You're teaching your classes in English. So the whole idea is that it's more of like a playground setting for them to come and have fun, learn things, but use English.
Right.
And so they've taken a lot of tips from Outschool and, modeling off of that. But they're also kind of an ESL platform. I mean, you can certainly be like teaching some English. Like I find myself, I'm explaining the project, but I might do some of the language I'm using might be a little bit different. If I feel like something that I'm saying is a little abstract, and it might need a little bit more explanation.
Yeah. And I had a Korean student in high school in person, and it was very interesting because he was extremely smart.
Yeah.
I had him in my math class.
Yeah.
It was interesting how he knew probably a few years higher than what I was teaching in his brain, but translating that to English was different. So it was interesting. Like sometimes I could use him like, how about you explain this? And he wouldn't really say much. He would just write it all down. And I would use the English words. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's really great. They're so great.
They're so smart. Yeah.
But because there's that language barrier, it's almost like he needed to go into a little bit lower level math, but not because of his math skills, but because of his language skills, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
That's really interesting. Yeah, the Bud Bee's been good. I've had 1, 2, or 3 students.
Just to interject here, because at the same time I'm teaching VIP Kid, and he comes to this country, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 or so. Okay. And his English was not good, but he was an exchange student, and he would stay with people. And, after you're with a person for a period of time, you get used to their accent and you don't always correct it. That's right. So he used to get a little irritated because I would be correcting him, and I'm like, that's what you're here for, right? You're here to learn the language, to pronounce things correctly, to use the proper names. That's said, right. You're not really. And you know what the funny thing is? He stayed with a family that were foster family, and they had a girl that they adopted as a baby from China. Oh, okay. Very American, but she was Chinese, obviously. Mm-hmm. They got her right from China. They went to China, brought her home, and they're actually still like they're a couple. I don't know. They may end up getting married. They're both graduated from high school. They're both in college. I don't know how that'll work, but wow. Yeah. So Betty's here. She says, as she hears there's a lot of people with kids go to homeschool, but in schools, I do not like what's happening. I would have been at school's door letting them have transgenders teach children. They will learn that on their own. Okay. So yeah, Betty, that's what Outschool is really cool for, is people that are doing homeschool. That's why on my channel, I made a video about homeschooling, and I also made a video about the difference between when people were in school and then they got sent home and they're doing school on Zoom. Right. There's a difference between that and virtual teaching, like what Gerri and I have been learning over the last several years. Right. It's actually pretty fun. It's not really like school, and Gerri teaches art and ESL and different things so that kids can get a good accent for speaking English with a proper accent, but also we've taught art. Like this summer we taught an art pod. We had a pod of 3 different teachers, and we taught different types of art, and we had like classes. So that was really cool. So it's a kind of a modern new technology, and technology is a little bit not good in some ways, like you don't want your kids sitting in front of a TV or a computer just mindlessly watching TV. But it's also good where we can get all kinds of different information and have all types of different teachers. Right. And Gerri, I really enjoyed getting to know Gerri because where do you live, Gerri? Is it California?
No, I live in the South. I live in the Southeast.
But you went to California.
Yeah, I live outside of Nashville.
Okay.
And so I was raised in California. That's probably where you got that.
And you went to college in California, right?
I went to UCLA.
Okay. Yeah, because I found out more about you because when we did the pod together, we had to write our bio and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so that's the cool thing about the iPad users group too. I got to know people all over the world. Right. Ecuador, Spain, all different countries, and people that like to travel. And so it's been a lot of fun. So the computer can connect people. It can also disconnect people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. The 21st century, it's a tricky place to be, all of us. I mean, we're really in between that, wanting to hang on to the real relationships that we've all formed. I mean, our generation and even a generation slightly younger than us, but but then when you get, like, my kids are 21 and 24, so they are that generation. You have kids that age too, where they're right in there where mine were growing up reading, especially my youngest one, constantly. And I'm so, so grateful that he had that experience in his life, because it was Harry Potter book after Harry Potter book or whatever, all the books. But as he got towards middle school, it was more and more electronics and computer. But he found a good niche for himself because he was an illustrator already, and he had that already in his life. And he was pen to paper, kindergarten and on. So he was able to kind of really make that bridge, where some are more challenged now. They're growing up with screens in front of them when they're very, very young. And I think some of it's fine because it is a sign of the times. And like you said, it gives them, 3-year-olds come to my class for painting, and they're learning that they can have a relationship with a person. It's different, but they can have a relationship with a person who has an impact on their life. Like the 3 and 4-year-olds that I meet on Outschool every week to draw and paint. And I'm helping them understand how they can put color on paper and make and so they're, it's not a bad thing.
And art is something that in schools they're kind of like, we have to cut corners, we'll cut the art program.
Right.
And that's something I really want for my kids. One of my boys, it's always like, he's always missing the art wherever we were. And he's really artistic, but he's not the type to do it on his own, unfortunately.
Right.
So
some are not. And it helps to have that opportunity. So Outschool and even Budbee for the Korean students that are part of it. I think they have somewhere around 800 kids now, I think, or something like that. But they're really learning about the marketing. But anyway, between Budbee and between places like Outschool where we are, there's so much to choose from. My most popular class is a painting and drawing class where we meet, and every week's a new project, and primarily the ages are 4 to 7. But I also have a 7 to 11-year-old section, and it was doing okay during the spring semester. It hasn't really done well over the summer, but I'm hoping it'll come back when people get their schedules settled again for fall.
Well, people are traveling more now, and they're just
it's so erratic now. Everyone's doing different things.
So I just wanted to put a couple comments up. Rebecca said the pod was fun. Rebecca was the 3 of us teachers were on a pod. It was a lot of fun.
And that was middle schoolers, and we were doing sort of different viewpoints on bringing art and visual art into. So I was doing like the painting and drawing kind of thing, and Cindy, you were doing more of the yarn and crafting. And then Rebecca was doing how science and art come together, like STEAM projects, where you're creating colors and creating different things that have a bridge between science and art. So I thought that was a good team. We were a good team.
Yeah. And I don't think the kids realized how much knowledge they had available to them.
Maybe not, but that's particular to middle school.
The seasoned teachers that they had were accessible. I mean, but they were doing summer school. Summer school is always a little tricky with
I mean, and they pick, you pick your class, but like, sometimes it's summer and it's hot and you're like,
right. So Betty says that art is a stress relief. Yes, I actually started a painting class in 2020 that I did.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, I need to do some more because I really
need to do it too.
My kids were like, "You're an artist? I didn't know you're an artist."
Surprise!
I said, maybe you are too.
Yeah. It is really helpful. And I think that although some schools do have their art programs, I think it's nice also for learners to have opportunities to do different classes from the comfort of their own home, where they feel safe, where they have their family, where they feel comfortable trying new things and making mistakes, and maybe not having their peers right next to them where they're like, oh, because I remember in school, art was always my thing, but I didn't feel very confident in it, actually.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to be Picasso,
Yeah. And people always think, oh, I'm not good at it. And I tell my kids all the time, like, nobody's born good at something. You just have to keep doing it, and then you become good at it,
Yeah, and I really do believe in that you have to make the mistakes. You have to be like, oh man, I made it. I mean, this morning I was recording a video for a class, and partway through I'm like, this isn't actually working. And I just stopped the video and I'm like, I just didn't do this well. I didn't do a good job with this. And I just threw that one out. I'm like, I've got to start out. It's okay to make the mistakes.
Right.
But we have to do that to realize, I really needed to start this whole painting lower on my paper. This isn't going to be good for them. They're not going to get it. So, but I think it's great. In my classes, I really like to have a very, just like it is, just right now, like calm, how was your weekend? I want them to feel really comfortable that they can share what they're doing. Like, oh, I want to see yours. How does it look?
Yeah.
And hey, it's so great. We're all using, or we're all drawing a campsite, but it's all this week is a campsite painting, but everyone's looks so different. And it's, we're using different colors for the tent, or I just want them to feel comfortable trying those things and experimenting.
Yeah. And that's what I liked when I did my painting class. It also was a teacher. She did some videos where you could just access the videos and just do it by video.
Right.
But I really liked the ones that she did in person. She'd be like, show up on this Facebook group live, and we would do the, painting. And then it was videotaped for other people that couldn't do it live.
Right.
But all that encouragement, like it's okay to make a mistake, and all of those encouraging words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even as an adult.
Right. I mean, I make mistakes on there too. And some, at first you're like kind of sweating bullets, but then I'm like, you know what? That didn't work very well I try not to like start the project over, but I also teach them, hey, roll with it. Yeah. I mean, let's keep going. If they say like, oh, this doesn't look good. And I say, well, why? Then, just roll with it. Let's see what happens. Keep on going. And if you, sometimes in the end, you don't feel good, then try it again. I mean, I don't paint something one time.
Right. Like when I do a canvas, I usually paint it one time. But she's always like, you can paper over it.
That's different than paper, though. Yeah. So, I mean, I have some kids that come to my class and they've had canvases and I'm like, wow. And usually, I mean, the couple of times I've seen it, the kid has been, that learner's been with me for like a little while. And the parents or the family sees what they're doing, and maybe they just want to start creating things they're hanging on the wall more. So they're like, oh, I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm saying that they are doing a great job. Hopefully I'm inspiring them. And so now they're like, oh, Joey is actually painting like stuff. That's great. Let's so they sometimes have come with canvases a little bit. I mean, mostly it's paper.
Well, it's fun though, because, even as parents, even if it's not done perfectly, it's done with your hand. So parents love what their kids make,
And the other thing I noticed over the last couple of years, I'm at the Outschool now 2 years, is, they're more uninhibited in a way, and they're more free, and they're not thinking about 5 minutes from now. They're actually just thinking about now.
Yeah.
Whereas I might be already 10 steps ahead. And so I'm like already, adults do that naturally. Yeah. We're already thinking about what we're making for dinner tonight or something tomorrow morning. And so it's like, hey, wait, with the artwork, let's just do that right now.
Yes.
Let's just do that. We're only here for 35 minutes. Let's just do it. And then
that's why I got into art, because I'm like, I need something that I can just be in the moment and just forget everything that's going on. Because, you could just drive yourself crazy.
Right.
Going which way and the other way. And just, we need that.
Things are more complicated now too. I mean, there's so much different. Yeah. It's a tricky place, like I said, 21st century. But I think Outschool's been an amazing opportunity overall. Mm-hmm. I've been grateful for it. I teach an animal drawing class. Like I haven't held up anything, but I mean, I have a few little things to hold up. We painted deserts before. We do like a desert scene. and I walk them through how. And then with animal drawing, we walk through the alphabet. So we do A to Z animals, and we just finished zebra last week. I'm actually taking a little break from it because of some of the summer enrollments. I've decided to take a few weeks off. I've never done that with this class. And I'm going to start with A. We'll do alpacas in at the end of August. We did yaks. Here's my yak.
Oh, cute. Oh my goodness. Wow.
And so we'll do just different. I just pulled out one of the ones I like the most, but we it might be sloth or snake or shark, or it might.
You give them a template or anything like that? Yeah.
No, so what I do for that class,
I don't know if I could draw that one.
Well, so this is the good story about me as like an art person, and then really being able to finally be an art teacher online. So drawing's not exactly my forte. It's just not. I did a lot of photography when I was younger, and I have I have a pretty good design sense, and I worked in publishing, doing in the art department with photographers. But I did some painting, some mixed media where we combine wet and dry things, and a little bit of drawing. But I jumped in doing animal drawing and keeping it super simple with simple shapes. And in the last 2 years, I mean, even my son, who was kind of a born illustrator, honestly, like, I don't know where, I mean, we have a lot of artists in my family, but he really has a gift. Even he said, wow, it's just amazing how improved your drawing is. Well, why is that? Because I'm doing it all the time. So now what I do is I present anywhere from 4 to 6 drawings of an animal, different ones. If it's an alpaca, it's going to be 4 different alpacas. Either positioned differently, or they're more portrait, or it's the whole body, or they're turned, or whatever, or 4 rabbits or 6 rabbits or whatever. And then what we do is we roll the die. And whatever number it lands on, that's the one we draw.
Oh, cool.
And we do 2 of them.
Okay.
And I show them my already finished drawing, but I don't do a lot of background. I keep the drawing really simple. Yeah. And I'll walk them through, and then I redraw it live on camera with them.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm just constantly pushing that.
So what age would that be for?
So that one is really mostly like 7 to 11.
Okay.
The paint club, I said, the drawing and paint club has 2 age ranges. I'm starting, I have a flex class option now for the paint club.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like this one's in that flex class. So that way, because I've wanted to do it, and I've had several that have wanted, like, we really love your class, but we really don't have time now.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, so this is a 6-week flex. So you could come and do it whenever you want to. And then I'm starting a little portrait drawing, just to challenge myself, because I don't know, I want to keep my brain going. I'm doing a class that's more like princesses and heroines and strong women, and it could be like, so I have like Elsa, but it's portrait. We're not doing all these full body, we want to try to focus on what makes this portrait different. But I'm also doing superheroes. So superheroes.
Very cool.
Creating a design frame. I want to challenge them to using lines. That's the other thing that I love, is showing artists how combining lines together makes really cool art. Did you know that you can make amazing art just by using lines and shapes you already know since kindergarten? I mean, and so I like to do a lot of that, like creating a frame with the lines.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. And, I think that's part of it too, is that we don't, I think kids in China, I realize that they draw more, maybe on their own. I'm not sure. I think they probably do drawing in school, but American kids, unless they like drawing, they don't draw. So
there is a lot of drawing. That's true.
It should be something that we actually do more
It
regularly.
is a challenge, and it's really good hand-eye coordination. I teach an optical art class. I have that on Budbee, and I have some of the animal drawing on Budbee, and I have some of the painting on Budbee. But the optical art class is a great one for hand-eye coordination. You're making repeated lines to create this design, but then all of a sudden at one point, and I always say this in my class, like, we're building this. We have to build it stroke by stroke or line by line or color by color, because, be patient, like, give it time. It might not look like that much right now. Give it a few more minutes. We're going to add some more things to it. And then they're like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Right.
Or awesome. It's okay. I like it. I always ask them to say something they like about what they did. Like, there's got to be something.
Right. Yeah. So I was just wondering about your son. Does he have stuff that, have you shown us some of his stuff?
I don't have anything nearby. But ironically, yesterday, I'm in the process of, it's constant for me, but I'm in the process of purging my garage. It's horrible. We moved cross country during the pandemic.
Right.
And so there wasn't enough time for just me to finish packing the house by myself and actually purge. And where was I giving it all? And I couldn't talk to anyone, I had to make anonymous donations to so I was like dropping things up. But anyway, we ended up moving with a lot more stuff than we needed to. And we moved to a smaller place. Long story, not that important, but the garage has been full of stuff for 4 people. And essentially it's 4 adults. And so we're finally really doing a heavy purge. And I came across my son's, a lot of his cards and things that he gave to me.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not purging out those. Don't worry. But I am purging out a lot of other things. I mean, I have school records from when the kids were like in kindergarten, and my son's going to be 25 in October.
Wow. So I think I know a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, so if something happens to me, if something happens to us, they have to go through and they're going to have to make those decisions.
Well, right. I didn't actually toss or recycle all that paper. I actually kept it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to see if Austin wants, like, do you want it? I mean, my mom said, do you want all your stuff? And I was like, actually, I kind of do. And I kept a lot of it for a while. And then eventually I really pulled out, like, I really culled out all the stuff that was like, not so interesting. But my son,
or you could take pictures of it, make like a picture out.
Right. I mean, that's true. He just did some beautiful illustrations, and there was a running funny theme of apologetic cards to me. I'm sorry that I lied to you. I'm sorry that we ruined your Mother's Day again. And it was hilarious. But then there'd be these really cool pictures where he would do cartoon style portraits of all of us.
Oh, nice.
And, he might be holding a paintbrush, and my other son might be holding his drums because he's a drummer. And I might be, I don't know what I was doing. I mean, I love to cook, so I might be cooking. I don't know. But yeah, he did a ton of illustration. That's primarily what he did, illustrations.
That is really cool. I love it.
Pen and paper is all he needed. And he would get in trouble at school for writing on his paper, drawing on his paper.
Drawing pictures.
Yeah. When he got into high school, it calmed down, of course, and they were like kind of, they found it endearing.
Right.
But up through middle school, it was more of like they found
and they got a little less strict about stuff like that.
I mean, if you're doing the work, then do you care?
I have my second daughter's she actually majored in, first of all, it was going to be art. Then she changed it to graphic design. And then her husband was in art also. But they turned out they didn't really think they could make money doing that. So they worked at a bank.
Yeah. I mean, I love sharing my simple skills with artists on Outschool. And I'm also going to bring back my art journal class. This one was mostly for teens. But I did have some 8 to 12 or 7 to 11-year-olds doing that. And we take an old book. I brought mine over here to show you, but I have it covered. It's just a novel that I got at Goodwill. I just picked up an old book. You want to have a nice hardback book. And then we would take and do different things in different papers. So this is like my watercolor.
Did you write on the paper, or did you cut something?
Okay. That's a good question. Sometimes we do. Watercolor right on the paper is tricky. So for the fish, A lot of times I also follow the alphabet for it because it just gives me some structure and
Yeah.
prompts to use.
Yeah.
So we did watercolor fish. We drew them and watercolored them and cut them out when they were dry. But I experimented watercoloring right on the paper. I just didn't want to do the fish there because there was so many words, the distraction of the pattern of the fish. So we kind of combine it. There's a lot of mixed media in here.
Very cool.
This is a cool one.
I'm going to tell my daughter about that, your class.
Yeah. So this is our ice cream
page. 9-year-olds.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So this is an ice cream page where we tried different techniques for the ice cream cones.
Very cool.
And then just using the pages. Yeah, I love using the pages, but sometimes sometimes it gets in the way a little bit. But we try to
use this was available when my kids were little.
Yeah, I love the art journal.
Now my kids are kind of too old and I suggest it. My youngest is 14. He's done Spanish. But whenever I suggest, I got a scholarship, so I still have money in my little account.
Oh, nice.
They don't really want to do it. Yeah. So if you're watching this video, you start when your kids are young and they take a couple classes they enjoy, then you're into it. Now,
and also with all these classes, a lot of them are ongoing. I've been doing some one-time classes this summer that I've booked okay because they want, but if you join an ongoing class, don't forget, you can come and go as you want to.
Yeah.
I've got 2 or 3 learners who have been in and out of my class all summer because they understand the routine and they're like, okay, we're here, we're out for 2 weeks, we'll be back. Then they come back. Then we're out for 2 weeks, we'll be back. So it's really been nice for them. And that's what's great is that nothing builds.
So that just for people that might be watching or watch this later or whatever. So on Outschool, you can sign up for a class. Like some teachers will do a class, like say you're going to do math for a semester. And then you have to pay for it up front for all the classes, which might be once a week, twice a week, something like that. But then there's ongoing classes where you pay for the first class and every Sunday they'll charge you for the next week. So if you want to you say, hey, we're going on vacation or I can't do it that week, then you withdraw and then you just sign up again when you're ready. So you don't have to pay like hundreds of dollars up front. You just pay by the week. So
each week, one class or maybe 2 classes. Yeah. So mine's just one class, but
yeah. So
and then I just send out my supplies. I send out my supplies the Friday before usually. And then everybody can get what they need. And I don't have, every once in a while, I have a family that say, oh, it's too much supplies, but not that much. It's like, well, it's art. I mean, you can come
if you have something to work with.
Crayon, but you have to have something to work with. Yeah.
We have a dollar store 3 miles down the street. So they have a lot of stuff.
They have a lot of stuff. They've gotten really much better with having really decent things.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Supplies. That is
I've really enjoyed it.
And art to me is a really important part. Although it might not be a main course, it is one of those classes you can kind of let go of the main courses for a little while and do something a little different.
Well, and also I think like in the class we did this summer with our team teaching and reaching out to middle schoolers as a pod and all that, like there's a social emotional aspect to teaching art too. That's really important. And that's like that's a big buzzword lately, the last few years, especially with people and young learners being overwhelmed going back to school when they had to be afraid earlier, or maybe they're just excited about being in school, but they also miss their online classes. There's a lot to it. So, it allows people to tap into other areas of their life and their mental state. Whether they're painting a dragon or they're drawing their eye and they're learning about it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's a connection that, I think in years gone by, it was maybe natural to do some sort of art.
Right.
But I think that nowadays with computers, with TV, with screens, we've kind of detached from artistic abilities. And I noticed even with yarn, just pulling some yarn out, it's just this whole new
Yes.
Working with your hands. Something. It's just strange.
It's working with your hands, but not I don't mean writing. I mean like, creating, like using the paintbrush, smearing it with your finger, knitting and tooling, or with, even with the science experiments, mixing and stirring and creating things. And so, I actually teach a couple of baking classes on Outschool, and that's fun too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That is so great. Well, thank you so much for coming to this interview. I hope that a lot of people enjoy it. And usually I have people that come later and they'll watch through the interviews and stuff. Did you have anything else you'd like to add at the end here?
No, I feel like we've touched on some really good aspects of art and teaching online. And I appreciate you asking me to come on here and share what I'm doing. And
so if they're interested in looking for your art classes, how would we look?
Well, you could go to outschool.com and search for Gerri Tumblin if you want to, and I can share my link with you as well so that you can put that in there in the description if you want to.
Because on Outschool you can type in art and you'll get all
you're going to get a lot. Yeah, you're going to get a lot. A lot of times I do go, not all my classes, but several of them will go by Little Art Studio.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, Gerri Tumblin or Gerri T or Ms. Gerri, and then Little Art Studio. It's not in every title because it doesn't work with every title, but it is for some of them.
Okay. Yeah. So the other thing is I do have a group on Facebook, and it's called Outschool Teachers Showcase. And I'm going to put this video on there as well.
Thank you.
It's sort of like showcasing different. So if you're on Facebook and you want to see what kind of classes that people are offering, you can go to that website, and it's separate. It's unofficial. You can just kind of scroll through, see what people are offering. Or you can even go to outschool.com and you can type in whatever it is you want to learn, or you can even send me a message. I have friends that teach, obviously, art, that teach science, preschoolers, PE, Spanish, so I might be able to point you in a direction that might be helpful. Somebody that I know, behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, and if you have any other questions, just message me below and I will put your link below this video as well. So
thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you for all of this information. I'm really excited about it. So good luck on the school year, that things go well for you. And
thank you. You
too. Fully booked.
Yes, thank you. Definitely. Thanks so much for having me.
Yep. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.